Hey family, and welcome back. I am Marshawn Olanio. Today we're talking about how to stop being toxic. Before I jump into how you stop being toxic, let's talk about what being toxic actually means. It is the behavior that results in others feeling bad by being around you or in your company. Now, these behaviors can include, but are not limited to, you being negative all the time, you being manipulative all the time, and you not being apologetic. So you being unapologetic or not saying sorry for the things that you know that you have done wrong, but you won't take responsibility. You won't take accountability for what you've done wrong. You won't say sorry, right? So that's being a toxic person, especially when you're doing these things consistently over and over and over again, where your friends or family are basically like, oof. So the question remains, how do you stop being a toxic person, specifically in your relationship, your romantic relationship, but this can be all of your relationships. The first thing that I mentioned is apology, right? Where you know that you are not saying sorry, you know that you are being an unapologetic person. Some people call this, I'm just being real, I'm just saying what's on my mind, I'm just getting it out, I need to say these things, right? But when you do that, you really become a very toxic person, especially if this is your first thing that you go to instead of hearing the other person out. So we must, number one, apologize when it is necessary. We cannot just go along with our lives doing the things that make others feel uncomfortable or make them feel unsatisfied or even unhappy. Some of the things that we do as people, right, as wives, as women, as spouses, as friends, as siblings, as people in general, we have a tendency to just think that our crap does not stink, and it does stink more than we realize. Our crap stinks, right? And so and so you have to be willing to show up and say, you know what, I'm sorry. I apologize for saying the thing that I did to you that did not make you feel good. I apologize for the way that I spoke with you. I apologize for doing the thing that I know really upsets you. I was trying to get under your skin. Obviously it worked, but I am sorry that I took that road instead of having an adult conversation with you about X, Y, and Z. Right? So apologize when it is necessary for you to stop being a toxic person. And again, this is repetitive behavior. This is your go-to. I don't have to apologize. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. The thing about that is none of us are right 100% of the time. There are some things that we may take in and we can just see it or hear it or visualize it different than what our spouses, partners, friends, family have actually wanted us and how they wanted us to receive it, right? So apologize when it's necessary because this can stop you from being such a toxic person. Point number 2 is to assess yourself regularly. Now, what does assessing yourself means? It means asking yourself the tough questions. If I was in the situation or heard myself speaking to my friend or my friend speaking to me in a manner that I did not like, or my spouse speaking to me in a manner like that, would I approve? Would I accept it? Would I be happy about it if someone spoke to me the way that I speak to other people? Assess how you are showing up by asking yourself questions to evaluate your habits, to evaluate your behaviors, and to evaluate how you are showing up in the world. Ask yourself, is the way that I am showing up today the way that I would want others to show up around me? Would I accept my own negative and toxic behavior? And if the answer is no, then you already have clues to what you need to stop doing and where to start to create and correct said behaviors. So assess how you are showing up regularly for yourself first, so you can be a better woman, so you can be a better person, so you can be a better wife, a better mother, a better friend, but also because it is a way to raise your self-esteem, raise your self-confidence, because the truth of the matter is when we find faults in all these other people, it is because we find the same faults within ourselves. But instead of us talking about ourselves, instead of us pointing the finger at ourselves, we find others to give all that glory or shame or guilt too. So assess how you're showing up and then really ask yourself, if my husband was speaking to me the way that I was speaking to him, would I accept this behavior? Am I always right? Is my husband always right? Is my child always right? Etc. Assess how you are behaving and your habits regularly so you can really start to balance out and even overcome being such a negative person. The third way to stop being so toxic is to deal with your past traumas. Now, each and every one of us has some traumas in our life. They have big T trauma and little T trauma. You can look it up to see which one that you have, right? But for example, for little T trauma, I have little T trauma or had little T trauma. My skin, as you can see, is very chocolate and dark. And I was teased throughout my life while growing up about my dark skin. And so I didn't have anything like a rape or molestation, which are big T traumas. I didn't see anybody murdered, big T trauma, right? So any of the things that are kind of graphic and gruesome, those can really be considered big T traumas. I didn't go through any of those, but we all experience some type of trauma. Mine was in the form of teasing. They now call it bullying nowadays, but we have to really deal with your past trauma, because anytime you're not dealing with your past trauma, sis absolutely is showing up. You don't think that it's showing up. You think that it's okay. You think that it's suppressed so much that it's not showing up. Truth of the matter is, it is absolutely showing up and killing and even destroying your relationship. These past traumas, these things that you are holding on to from your childhood, as well as from previous relationships you never dealt with. Healing yourself completely, or at least even being on the path to healing yourself, so you can open up the doors in your world to really allowing someone else to come on in and be a part of a healthy romantic relationship. But first, a part of a healthy relationship with yourself. Because if you're constantly putting yourself down, if you're constantly calling yourself names, constantly calling yourself dumb, stupid, idiot, why did I do, right? That critical inner voice is just really coming in and taking over on you. It's because you have yet to raise your self-esteem, raise your confidence in the form of dealing with your past trauma. So all of these little things that really trigger you right now can stop triggering you. Again, you must deal with your past traumas, because when you don't deal with your past traumas, you literally are a toxic person, whether you see it or believe it. Trust me, you are. You may be the friend that gets their calls sent directly to voicemail. You may be the friend where everybody used to show up for you, with you, have a good time with you. Now they're like, ugh, well, it's gonna be some drama over there. Like, yeah, they scratching their head anytime it comes to you coming around in the friend circle anymore. And even around your spouse. Your spouse may just be staying outside of the house longer and longer and longer because you have not dealt with your past trauma and you're putting your insecurities off on your spouse. If you made it this far in the video, I'm gonna give you a bonus and then we're gonna wrap this up. So the bonus today is literally to be open to feedback. Yes, you must be open to feedback in order to stop being a toxic person. Because if I come to you and say, hey, I noticed that whenever I try to give you feedback, we just end up in an argument. I'm not trying to come here to argue with you. I'm merely trying to point out, give you some things that you can assess so you can be a better woman, a better person later on. But you must be open to feedback from others outside of you, because we really do not see how we're showing up to others. And as well, we don't have the conversations with our friends and with our families to really assess how they feel and see us. And it's funny, each and every time that I actually have a conversation with someone and they start to tell me what they see in me, I'm like, oh, wow, I never knew that this is what you thought about me, because these are not conversations that you have day in and day out, right? So really start to think about how you're showing up. Listen to the things, the complaints, really. Listen to the complaints that they are bringing to you, because those are the areas in which you can start working on becoming better. I am Marshawn Olanio. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, give me a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel, especially if this is your very first time here. I help Black Christian women that are married or in long-term relationships to stop feeling disconnected and unloved and shift you to feeling heard, understood, and appreciated via my books, my digital courses, as well as my group coaching program. It's a small group for Black women only. I have several links down in the description box below. Go ahead and check out my group. Go ahead and check out, say, hey, I need to talk to you. There's a link down there for that. It is bit.ly/help my relationship. And this could be the relationship with yourself, like getting you together, or the relationship with your partner or spouse. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.